Today I'm going to walk you through how to clean a Glock 17. This will work for any Glock. They come apart the same way, and we're going to follow the Glock user manual for the most part. But all we're going to use some cotton rags, a gun brush. You can use toothbrushes if you don't have a gun brush. I'm going to use original gun oil. This is a CLP, which is a cleaner, lubricant, protectant, and a CLP is recommended by Glock. In the user manual, they want you to use a lubricating oil to clean the gun. I use original gun oil to clean all my guns, and that's mostly because it's non-toxic, non-staining, and non-scented. So this really doesn't have a smell to it. It's safe to get on my hands, and I do clean these inside so it doesn't stink up the house. I'm also going to use a Hoppy's bore snake. This is a Viper bore snake for 9mm. You would need one for whatever caliber you're going to clean. This is going to clean the inside of the barrel a lot quicker than the old rotten patches method. So it's not going to clean it quite as well as using a really powerful solvent, but it's going to do a good job. That's good enough to keep your Glock up and running smoothly. And we're going to use some good old cotton swabs. I prefer these. I love these dual tip cotton swabs. They got a regular end and a tapered end, which gets in a lot of tight spaces. Alright, let's get started. Alright, so first thing we're going to do is verify that the gun is unloaded. No magazine and no round in the chamber. That's the most important thing. Now we're going to field strip or disassemble the Glock. So the way you do that, once you confirm that it's unloaded, point the gun in a safe direction, press the trigger. The trigger needs to be back in order to field strip the gun. Grab the gun like this. Move the slide back just slightly. Pull down the takedown levers on both sides, and the slide will come right off the gun. Takedown levers, there's one on each side, and I'm just grabbing it like this and pulling them down together. Recoil spring and guide rod, just press on that, and that'll come right out. The barrel will now lift right out of the slide. Alright, so now we've got the gun apart. We're just going to clean up each piece, lubricate it, and put it back together. First thing I do is take the barrel, which is going to be the dirtiest part, and I'm just going to drip a fair amount of oil down into the barrel. That's going to start working on cleaning that, and I'm going to set that aside. Then we're going to take the slide, just get a few drops of oil kind of all over the inside of the slide, and then we're just going to take a brush and we're going to brush everything clean. You don't want to get a bunch of oil down into this area. Just keep it out of this area here where the firing pin is. You also don't want to get oil into the hole where the firing pin comes out on the breech face. Alright, but everywhere else we're just going to clean. Just going to brush it a little bit here, get the dirt out, especially in these slide cuts. That's how the slide moves along the frame. Just get that real good. And you can wipe off your brush. What I do to clean up, to get all the oil out, you can use a cloth to wipe it, but to get into the nooks and crannies, just put your cloth over there and use a brush to push the cloth into all the small nooks and crannies and areas. And that does a pretty good job getting all the oil and dirt out of there. Okay, we do want to clean the breech face, but you don't want to get a whole bunch of oil in there. So just kind of brush this area clean with kind of a dry brush. Make sure you get under this little hook. This is the extractor. That needs to be clear underneath because that's what grabs the rim of your brass to pull it out. So just get a brush in there. Make sure that's nice and clean. Alright, and then just get another dry cloth. push and do your best to get all the crud out of there. Get in the slide cuts on both sides. Anywhere you can't get into at all, you can just get a cotton swab with a pointy tip on it like these. And just get all the rest of that out of there. Alright, that's looking pretty good. Okay, slide is done. We're going to do a similar thing with the frame. We just want to get these rails here, that's what the slide moves along, and anywhere else in here that kind of looks to be a little bit dirty. So I'm going to kind of do the same thing. I'm going to put a couple of drops of oil, not a lot in the frame. Going to get a brush, going to clean that up, and just kind of brush all the surfaces that you can get to. Anything that looks like it's got some carbon buildup on it or any kind of dirt. Get that pretty good. If you've done a whole lot of shooting, just get that pretty good in there. Then we're going to do the same thing. Get a rag over top and use the brush to push the rag into all the little nooks and crannies, all the tight little areas. As your rags get dirty, just get a new one. Just kind of keep brushing it till the rag's pretty clean. I like to push a rag through the grip just to get any crud that might have gotten into the grip. You can do that a couple of times if you need to. And again, follow up with the cotton swab. Just get everything clean that looks a little dirty. Yeah, it looks pretty good. If you got some down in here, you can just wipe it out. If the exterior of the gun is dirty, just wipe it with a cloth. You don't have to get, if it's really dirty, you can get some gun oil on there as well. That'll clean it up and it's not going to harm it at all. Alright, that looks good. I'm going to put that aside. Recoil spring, it really doesn't even mention cleaning this in the user manual, but you can just get a brush and kind of brush this off. If it does look really dirty, you can put a little gun oil on here too. It's certainly not going to hurt anything. This one doesn't look too bad. So we're going to be done with that. Magazine. I have a video on how to disassemble the magazine if you think you've got some dirt or grime or gravel inside. I'll link that up here and also in the description. But for the most part, just wipe it down. Make sure the follower is nice and clean. You don't really want to use gun oil on this. You don't want to get oil into the magazine. You can put the tiniest bit on there if there's a bunch of crud, but make sure you wipe it off when you're done. But basically wipe it. Make sure the follower works and everything looks pretty good. Alright, now we're going to clean the inside of the barrel. Now we put some oil in here earlier to let it kind of soak, and all we're going to do is drop this. All we're going to do is drop the bore snake through. It has built-in brushes on it, so instead of running patches through and then brushing it and running more patches, we're basically doing all this in one step. Alright, so this is going to pull the oil through as well as brush the inside of the barrel. And all this material acts as a whole bunch of patches that you're pulling through. So if you have a super dirty barrel, you might want to use some solvent and some patches to clean it, but really this bore snake method will clean most of the dirt out of there and you're going to be good to go. After you do that, make sure your feed ramp is clean. Put a little drop of oil on the feed ramp and then wipe this whole area, and then wipe the exterior of the barrel down with a little bit of oil. All right, we're going to be good to go there. All right, that was the cleaning part. That was pretty painless, and now we're going to lubricate. Lubricating your Glock. So I'm going to use original gun oil. You can use any high quality gun oil to lubricate your Glock. You don't need a lot of oil. So we're going to start with the barrel. The Glock user manual says to just put a drop or two of oil on a rag, wipe the entire outside of the barrel with a slightly oiled rag, including the lugs at the top here. A nice coat on everything. Alright, and then same thing on the inside of the slide down in this area, because the top of the barrel hood slides along this area, and also around the opening where the barrel and slide kind of come together. So a little bit of oil there. Next place the Glock manual says is just one drop of oil. We're going to go right here, one small drop. I would say put a drop in there and then just dab it a little so there isn't too much in there. Alright, so the next thing we want to do, we want to get a drop of oil in each of the slide cuts. There's one on both sides of the slide. Alright, so I zoomed in here. The slide cuts is this slot that runs along the inside on both sides of the slide. This is where the slide moves back and forth on the rails of the frame. So we're just going to put one drop. I usually put one drop about in the middle of the slide cut. Then I take a brush and just spread it up and down the entire slide. And that drop was a little big, so I'm just going to kind of dab the excess off of there, just so I don't have too much in there. Alright, so that's what that looks like. Lubricant in the slide cut right there. And the last place the manual says is just kind of wipe down the outside of the slide with a little bit of oil that's still on your rag. This is more to protect the steel than anything, because you don't want your slide to be slippery, so you don't want much on there at all. And if it feels like the slide is slippery, just wipe it with a dry rag. Alright, and that is it for lubricating the Glock 17 per the user manual. Now before you reassemble, there is a user inspection that Glock recommends you do, and I have a video I'll link to up in the corner and down in the description for that. So you can do that after, but part of it happens before you put the gun completely together. So to reassemble the gun, take the slide, place the barrel in it just like that. Recoil spring, this end goes in the front, this end's in the back. Just place it in, squeeze it down so it sits just like that. Okay, just line up the slide cuts with the rails like that. Slide that on. When you get here, be careful of the ejector so you don't scratch the back of your slide. So just kind of guide that in. Guide that past that like that. Move the slide all the way to the back. You can engage that if you want, although it's already pretty much back together. So at this point, the gun is back together, reassembled. Make sure you do your function checks before you take it out or use it for concealed carry. Alright, if you like this video, please hit like below. Please check out the description for the products used in this video, and thanks for watching.